Hey, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the StreamKick Podcast. On our show, we summarize the highlights of the week in the live streaming industry and share insights and analysis on all the stories you need to care about. This is the 184th edition of the Roundup, and I'm your host, Camper, founder and CEO of StreamKick. My co-hosts today are international man of wealth and fame and StreamKick co-founder, RoboKast.
Hey, Camper. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. The always present and supremely castable RoboKast is with us today, too.
How's it going?
And rounding out the crew for the first time ever, we have StreamKick's headband rocking community manager, the highly mobile Ace.
Hey, Camper. How's it going?
Hey, man. Glad to have you on the show. So this is an interesting week, guys. There wasn't a whole lot of stuff going on, but the stuff that happened was pretty darn interesting. I'm going to go ahead and dive into this because I feel like you guys are going to have a lot to say about this stuff. This first story is, it didn't start out big, but now it's so big that it almost needs its own safety advisory council. But Twitch this week decided it was going to create the first ever Twitch Safety Advisory Council to help steer its policy direction. Now, let me elaborate on that a little bit here. The Safety Advisory Council will consist of 8 members. They're drawing from both quote unquote online experts and content creators on the Twitch platform. Their group is going to be tasked with essentially helping Twitch come up with policy and product direction, but very specifically around the areas of safety, moderation, healthy streaming habits, and protecting marginalized groups. Now, I say this story started out small because on the surface, you're like, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea. I think this could be a good thing. But as we've seen since the story broke, if you followed social media at all, which if you're listening to this, you probably do, you've seen that this probably hasn't gone quite the way Twitch hoped that it would. So I'm going to kick it over to you guys on this one. I'm just kind of curious what you all think. It sounds like a good idea, but now that I've seen and heard some of the stuff that people are saying, now I'm really kind of wondering, like, did Twitch screw this up? Is this not a good move?
Yeah, I know their PR team's going to have a great weekend, probably an entire week, to be honest. Yeah, it's great in theory. Like, oh, we're going to help the community be a safer place. But it's bad in execution in 2 ways. First of all, it's Twitch. They're the most inconsistent people when it comes to what they decide to punish. So maybe this will help, maybe it won't. Again, they haven't clarified at all. Maybe some more clarification would have made this a little less of a big deal. And second of all is, as everybody knows, their choice of people. First of all, how do they choose these people? Why did they choose these people? And how are they going to prove that the people that they chose are actually going to do what they're supposed to do, you know?
I think clarification here is really the thing that we're missing is, when they roll this out, you would expect after already having so much, controversy surrounding their current program with how they handle conflicts like that, you'd think rolling this out, they'd want to put out a real clear and concise set of rules and how it was put together.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think the consistency is the issue, and I don't know that this is going to help with consistency. I think the optics of this are, hey, if we convene this panel, to me it kind of feels like Twitch is saying, like, all right, you guys have been really pissed off at us for a while because we've just not been good at this. Which, by the way, Mixer doesn't have this problem. So Mixer doesn't have a panel. Why doesn't Mixer have this problem? Like, maybe take a look at that, right? I have thoughts on that too, but I'll save that for another time. But you pull this panel together, and now it's almost like Twitch is saying, like, okay, well, now if you guys get mad at us, it's not really us. It's these 8 people.
So does the panel have any authority, or are they just there to make recommendations?
So therein lies the controversy. After this was rolled out, a certain individual on the panel took to their stream and basically said something to the tune of, I have a lot of power now and people should fear me, but not in like a ha-ha kind of way, but in like a ha-ha kind of way.
It was like the most like threatening way you could possibly say that. It was like complete power hunger.
Absolutely. And that is when things kind of went crazy and went off the rails, I think. I was just, before we sat down to do this, I was reading a Reddit post about it. And I mean, say what you will about, the content that comes out of that community. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's but I was reading this this Reddit thread about it, and there was a lot of really good, insightful, level-headed discussion going on in there, which I think is good, and you see a lot of that on the Twitch subreddit. But a lot of it was just like basically people who were saying like, "Hey, I've been the victim of things on this platform, and this panel doesn't represent me. So how is this going to improve things for everybody? If the whole point of this is like to promote more inclusivity and all these other things, do you not then need to kind of have people on the panel that represent like all these different quote unquote marginalized groups?" And if I were Twitch, I wouldn't want to get into that discussion. Like I wouldn't even want to go down that rabbit hole.
No, not at all. 100%. It's like, first of all, like I said, how are they choosing these people? Like they have a page that lists everybody and like, oh, this person is an expert at this, blah 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 blah. But realistically, there's like one doctor or something at some university in Florida. There was like some streamers who've streamed a lot. There was like some people who represent small communities. Like there's a wide range, but they didn't do a good job at saying why they picked the people they did. They just kind of said, these are the people we picked. And I find that to be a big issue, especially since Twitch, for example, with the Alinity situation, where they like were hesitant to ban her for doing something way worse than other people did. You know, the lack of clarification is what already causes people to be upset with them. And something as big as this is going to affect a lot of creators and streamers, but the streamers don't know how they're going to be affected exactly because they don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's the clarification. That's the other big piece, and I'm glad you touched on that because there's certain rules that Twitch has, and the issue has always been one person will break the rule and get banned, and they'll get banned for like a period of time, right? It might be a couple days, it might be a week, month, year, whatever, permanent. Who knows? That's the other thing too. You never know how long it is. There's that, but then you'll have someone else who does it, and either they won't get banned or they'll get banned for like a day when the other person got banned for 30 days. They did the exact same thing. The only difference between the two is that one of them is a huge streamer who makes Twitch a lot of money. Okay, fair enough. But what message are you sending to the community if you're just going to like hammer somebody mercilessly and then someone else does the exact same thing and it's like, it's just not the same. Like
But
I don't understand how people.
Is that the purpose of the council, is to put some consistency in decisions that are made?
I think. I'm not sure. I mean, that's kind of what they said, is that they want people who are going to help them both create policy and give them some product direction. Not entirely sure what product direction actually means, but I'm sure there's some big brains in Silicon Valley that are thinking about this right now. But I think from an audience standpoint, myself as a viewer, when I look at it, that's what I'm expecting. And I'm just an audience member, right? Like I'm not really worried about who's getting banned because it's not me. I'm not doing things to get banned. But if I were a content creator, having seen what other content creators had been going through on the platform, I would, if that were me, I would definitely be concerned in that regard. Like that would be the thing I would be looking to Twitch and saying, this is the thing you need to fix.
I guess I'm looking at this from a business standpoint. So I'm not, as you know, I'm not an avid viewer of streaming. So, I mean, from a business standpoint, I think you can put together a council and there's always going to be people that complain on who was selected to be on the council if it wasn't like a direct democratic vote on who's going to be on the council. And people are going to always point fingers at Twitch as they're doing something wrong or not monitoring something. So, I mean, from a business standpoint, I think this was a great redirect for Twitch to put the focus on other people, to drive policy and respond to complaints and issues.
Yeah. Redirect is exactly what it is. And I'll go back to what I said before, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about this, but Mixer has never had these problems, right? And I know someone's listening to this going, oh, well, Mixer's not as big as Twitch. You get a community big enough, this will happen. Like, no, this happens every single time with Twitch. This is like almost like a weekly thing with Twitch where there's these policy issues or bans or whatever you want to call it, and just inconsistency, right? Mixer, you just don't hear about this. And I've talked to Mixer streamers. I've read what Mixer streamers have said about why they pick one platform over the other. And I'm not saying Mixer is better, Twitch is better. I'm just saying in this particular arena, Mixer hasn't had this problem. Mixer doesn't have an advisory council. And the streamers and the community that are involved in Mixer tend to say, you know what? policy here is clear, it's concise, it's communicated up front. They even have rules on Mixer where you can't stream for so many hours. I think it's like 24 hours after you create an account. You can't even stream. You have to like wait a day. There's like a cooldown on it. So they've done things that make sense to kind of solve and mitigate for this problem. And yet they don't have to have this council. They don't have to like rely on strangers for all intents and purposes to sort of like help them figure this out.
Yeah, I get your point. I mean, but at the same time, as a counter argument here, I would argue that the size of Twitch is really the biggest thing here. Yeah, Mixer doesn't have these problems, but when you look at any platform as it grows, I mean, obviously I'm no expert on this, but from what I've seen personally, YouTube didn't used to have problems. And the bigger it gets, the more controversy there is because there's more people using it. There's more people to complain about it. And it has a bigger impact on the larger number of people who are using it. You see what I'm saying? So like Mixer's a smaller platform, so they haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah, I'm sure that has something to do with it. I mean, I think if, we talked about it, I think last week, Mixer is just kind of struggling with its own issues. It just doesn't have the growth and everything that it needs. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see kind of how this all plays out. I really don't know. I mean, generally, I like to try and think these things through and just for fun, just kind of like, play out what I think that prediction is going to be. But in this case, I really don't know. Like I can see this being another one of those things that Twitch does where after like, a year or so, people just kind of forget about it. It becomes a meme, it goes away, and then nothing's ever said about it again. And that's kind of the end of it.
I think that there's definitely some truth to what Rhino is saying. There's people are going to complain about something like this no matter what. And especially in this industry where everything is so social media driven and complaining is just like a habit of anybody who watches Twitch or is on this platform to begin with. So it's like that sort of degree that would already be expected is just magnified.
Yeah, it's a good point.
A similar thing did happen with YouTube, though. I don't know if you guys keep up with YouTube, but I think it was like a year or two ago. What was that?
There was a watch that just ran out of battery.
Shooting star.
It sounds like you murdered a cat.
I was like, what watch does that?
He's got one of those.
It's a cat
He's
watch.
got one of those watches that has GPS on it. It's like one of those I forgot what you call it. Anyway, battery died.
All right.
Interesting. Yeah. So I'm not sure if you guys like keep up with YouTube news. Like I know you're heavy involved with like Twitch, but a couple years ago on YouTube, they had this thing called YouTube Heroes. I think that's what it was called. And it was basically the same exact thing. It was, well, sort of. It was similar. Basically, there was like a team of people that once they have like reported and flagged enough videos, they then basically get elevated to like a incognito YouTube support team that will manually be able to review videos. So they were basically rewarding users for flagging videos in exchange for like power on the platform. I mean, again, it's a little different, but it reminds me of this situation. It really does.
Everything about that's a bad idea.
I know. Like, it was such a kickback on social media too. You would not believe the stuff, how much people freaked out. It was trending like for days.
You were 5 words into the explanation of that, and I was already just like shaking my head. Like, no, there's no way. Like, there's no way.
So
I don't know how companies think this is a good idea.
Well, so what ended up happening on YouTube with it?
It just like slowly disappeared, and they never mentioned it again. Right.
That's what always happens every time.
That's probably what's going to happen here at Twitch too.
Yeah, it'll disappear. It'll become a meme. It'll show up in a year, and people will go, "Hey, remember when?" And then that's it, and then it'll be dead forever. So on a completely unrelated note, Twitch has decided it's going to get into the business of digital gift cards. So what might you say can you buy with a Twitch digital gift card? Well, all the same things that you can buy with your real money or your parents' credit card on Twitch. So think things like channel subscriptions, bits for donations, that type of thing. So they're going to come in denominations of $25, $50, $100, and $200 because that's what you need. The first iteration of these things is going to include like special messages and stuff. So like, hey, congratulations. You just graduated college, you're $70,000 in debt, but here's $200 to donate to your favorite streamer. happy birthday and things along those lines. And then, of course, Twitch has plans to eventually sell these physical gift cards in stores like Best Buy and GameStop and things like that. Um, you know, this is one of those ideas that I feel like when you go to the grocery store or wherever it is that you go to buy gift cards and you're looking at the rack and you see that gift card for like Bass Outdoor Center, but your city doesn't have one of those, and you're just like, huh. And all the gift cards around it are purchased except that one. I feel like this has the potential to be that. And I'm just not sure the special occasions are cool, but that's not like the first thing that comes to mind when I'm like, oh, it's your birthday. You're really into Twitch. Let me get you a gift card so you can donate money to a streamer.
Here's money to donate to someone. Happy birthday.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird concept. It's not like you're giving somebody a gift card to buy themselves something. It's almost like you're giving a gift card so somebody could give away money that made that gift card. It's weird.
Yeah, it's like you don't feel good. Maybe the person doesn't feel good about giving their money to a streamer. So it's like, well, I'll give money to the streamer, but if it's your money, I'll do it. Now, I granted, I've donated to streamers before. There's definitely streamers that I've watched where I'm like, yeah, this person is busting their ass. They're putting out great content. They're working really hard. They're doing all the things that you should do to be an entertainer. And essentially they're doing it for free. So yeah, you throw $5 their way and say, like, hey, I just listened to this DJ for 3 hours and it was an amazing set. $5 to me seems like money well spent, right? Like I feel like that money has been earned by that, and probably more than that, right? But that's what I'm comfortable giving. I just don't know about this whole notion of like buying the gift card for someone else so they can donate money to somebody over the internet. It just seems weird to me.
And that's why the first thing that I think of when I saw this is giveaways. I think that it's going to be used by streamers to give away gift cards to their viewers. So essentially, here's money so you can give it back to me. And I
Ah,
think that's what we're going to see a lot of, and from Twitch streamers and organizations and stuff like that. I think is going to be.
so this might be really meta, but maybe this was the first product decision that the advisory council came up with. They're like, no, we've had this idea for a long time. We need more donations. So what if you did digital gift cards? Hey, it sounds like a great idea. Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I could see that would make sense if you were using it within the ecosystem. I could definitely see that playing out, making a lot of sense. Does YouTube do gift cards? Is that a thing?
I don't think so. I mean, I I don't think. Well, okay. I mean, if you get like a Google Play Store gift card, I don't think you could use that. Like for example, okay, YouTube Premium is like $12.99 a month. I don't know for sure, but I feel like if you get a Google Play gift card, oh no, okay, I take that back because basically YouTube Premium is the only thing you could spend money on YouTube or like super chats, but that
Yeah.
goes through Google as it is. So like it's not just YouTube. So honestly, after all of that, I have no idea to answer your question, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it'd be useful on YouTube to be honest.
What if can't you buy games through Twitch through their desktop client? Is that still a thing, or did they kill that?
I don't think so. I think you
You
can.
used to be able to do that.
I mean, you can like link games with it, like Minecraft, for example. If you link it with Twitch, you can then install mods through Twitch. But I don't
Yeah.
think you can install games or buy games.
I thought through, and I could be wrong, but I thought through Twitch's desktop app, I know there used to be a game store there, and you could go in and you could buy games. Streamers could set up links in their profiles on Twitch. So if they were playing a game, like I don't know, I don't think Minecraft was there, but let's pretend it was. They're playing Minecraft, and you're like, oh, that looks kind of neat. I've always wanted to play that. You could click their link, and I thought it would take you into the Twitch store to buy it. If that's still a thing, then this could be cool because then it's like almost like a Steam gift card, right? Like you can buy games and stuff with it. That's pretty neat.
If that's true, and you just didn't make that up.
I mean, I didn't make it up. I just don't know if you can still do it or not.
I don't think that's
But
a thing.
yeah, they might have killed it off. That's another one of those things that just didn't. Every story is ending in death right now. But
Yeah.
well, it remains to be seen what will happen of the gift card. But for now, they're available digitally, and they'll be coming to stores here in the coming months. And that brings us to our third story, which is kind of becoming a meme in and of itself. Which is we talked about this not too long ago. but the longest continuous broadcast record has now been broken for the third time in a month. Now, here's the thing. When you're watching the Olympics, you don't see like the land speed record for sprinting broken every single time someone sets foot on the track, right? And this is starting to feel like one of those things where it's just like, all right, so and so did it. I can do it. All I really have to do is my computer just doesn't have to die before I get whatever the number is. Now, the most recent one, what did he have? This Welsh streamer, Recesi, I guess, or Recesi. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. So
His
if you're
Twitter name
listening,
is
sorry.
Reese. That's his.
Reese.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, clever. Okay. So he clocked in 200 hours and 30 minutes across 8 days of continuous streaming. That is
Why?
just well,
Well, how do we know this is happening? Who's reporting this? How is this? Is he promoting himself that this just occurred?
Well, so what can happen? Yeah. So that's part of it. The other thing too is you can use like stat sites like Sully Gnome and Twitch Tracker and things like that to see like how long someone's broadcast was up. This is different than like a 24-hour stream. Like a 24-hour stream, which is kind of a thing, right? Is a streamer will actually stream and produce content for 24 hours. These continuous broadcast streams are literally just, I don't ever turn off my broadcast. So they could like stream themselves sleeping, I guess. I think that might be a TOS violation. Who knows? They can do anything. They don't have to actually be like sitting there playing the game or doing, whatever it is for a certain period of time. They just have to have a broadcast up for a period of time.
I think this is stupid. I think we should never talk about this again.
Yeah.
Well, so this is one of those things where I feel like the Safety Advisory Council could actually do some good, which is to like tell people like just stop doing this.
It's
like,
not
please.
healthy.
It's not healthy. It doesn't do anything. Like we looked at this when I think it was Los Pollos when he did it like earlier, like mid-April or whatever. We went back and looked at his channel a few weeks after he did it. He didn't have that many viewers. It's not a dig against him, but like this doesn't do anything. You might get a quick pop and some notoriety, but that's it.
Yeah.
This streamer in particular, from what I've seen, is pretty known for doing a lot of charity streams, and I'm not sure if this one in particular was a charity stream, but I did see that he made like $1,300 across these 8 days through donations
For charity?
So
Or
yeah,
for
I
him?
don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
It could go either way there.
Yeah, even then, I feel like the charity should be like, listen, homie, you need to chill with the 8-day streaming. And here's the best part about this story. Just like the last guy, his stream ended when his computer crapped out. And what was he playing? He's playing Valorant. Same as last time.
That's rough.
So Valorant, for those of you listening, if you're gonna go after the streaming world broadcast record, do not stream Valorant. At least don't stream Valorant at the end of your stream. Stream it at the beginning because it
stick
will
to CS:GO. Superior
stick to
game.
CS:GO.
I don't know. I think that's a convenient time for your computer to die out, like 12 minutes after you break the record. I mean,
He's being sabotaged. This is a deeper story than what meets the eye.
Well, we'll dig deep. Next week we'll come back with the full details on this one and share the latest on that. Speaking of Valorant, this is probably the story I'm most excited to talk about this week. So this doesn't happen very often, but in the live streaming world, every now and again you have this event that comes along, generally a game. Sometimes it's an actual event or a tournament or whatever that has like a lasting impact that actually changes something, right? Valorant, if the data that we're seeing is true, Valorant is basically going to be that game because Valorant just had the best month ever. All right. So in April, give you a little bit of context here. In April, live streaming viewership grew by about 45% month over month. So from March to April, that was growth. Now that's across the board, just industry as a whole, right? That's a 99% increase versus the same time the year before. So essentially double viewership from the same period last year. For Twitch, it was about 100% growth, specifically for that one platform. And most of that growth came from Valorant. All right. So for those that don't know, Valorant is this new sort of like squad-based shooter that's this, people are comparing it to like CSGO and Overwatch kind of like had an arranged marriage and had an unplanned pregnancy, and then Valorant was like that game, right? And it's taking off. It's huge. People are loving it. Tons of people are playing it. I personally haven't played it yet because I wasn't lucky enough to get a key, but it looks really awesome. In April alone, Valorant had 330 million hours watched, 330 million hours, and peaked at 1.7 million concurrent viewers. So those are numbers that are typically only hit during like a major event. So like when something huge happens or a tournament or something like that. These are not normal like game numbers for 1 month. Now, obviously, coronavirus had a lot to do with that. More people at home, more people having time to stream and game and whatnot. But what's most interesting about this is that this game is single-handedly surfacing content creators that were living in other directories who now have found their game and are able to essentially blow up via the Valorant directory and start getting exposure, notoriety, fame, that kind of stuff. I'm really curious what you guys make of this, because this is not something we see often, but it's absolutely necessary to this industry, and I love it. I think it's fantastic.
And especially looking at this from the esports world is extremely interesting. We've never really seen anything of this magnitude happen. Like in Fortnite, we saw people going over from different battle royales and trying this new thing that was completely highly anticipated. But Valorant is literally harvesting professional players from other esports markets. And that's crazy with the magnitude of what's happening and kind of the snowball effect. So, for example, we see this person, Jay Sinatra, who is worldly recognized as the #1 Overwatch player in the world. He gets paid millions of dollars by the Overwatch League to play Overwatch. And he put out the tweet longer. He said, "I'm retiring from Overwatch and I'm going to pursue Valorant full time." And this is crazy. I mean, this guy who makes millions doing what he's doing is switching to a completely different game whose esports scene hasn't even been established yet. So after that, we're seeing all of these other pros from all of these other games, Paladins, Overwatch, CSGO, just abandoning their teams, abandoning their organizations, and pursuing Valorant. And that really is crazy to watch.
This makes me wonder though, like if they're willing to just tear up a contract in effect and just leave, what does that say about the state of Overwatch?
And that's what
Valorant doesn't even have esports yet.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people are saying. Is this the end of Overwatch? Or why would you play Overwatch if you could play Valorant? And that's where everybody is right now. So
hasn't there been like a end of Overwatch phase like 3 times though? Like I swear there's been multiple times where people are like, "Oh, Overwatch is over," and then it's just like still going.
Yeah, and I mean, Overwatch is one of the very few esports that is really franchised. Like cities buy league spots for millions of dollars, and that's something that hasn't really been in a lot of different esports yet. And I think that's one of the reasons it's still alive. But I don't know. Maybe this could be the real deal end of Overwatch. Who knows?
So how do you feel right now if you're YouTube and you just dropped, I don't know, 100 mil on the Overwatch broadcasting rights, and now all of a sudden the #1 player and other players in the league are just like, nah, I'm going to go play this other game that doesn't even have a developed esports scene yet. I mean, it's clear that it will, right? Like Riot isn't making this game for giggles, and Riot obviously is a leader in esports. So clearly they know what they're doing. They're going to put something together that's going to work. But how are you feeling if you're sitting at YouTube right now and you just cut that check for at least $100 million to get the rights to this league, and now the top players are just like, we're done. We're gonna.
I think it'll be perfectly fine, though. To be honest, it's like saying like if Tom Brady retires and the NFL's over with, it's like, yeah, the people are gonna want to watch the best, but somebody else will just take that spot, and then we have a new #1. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that could be. I mean, I think it's fair to say though, it's not just Brady, right? It's like Brady and like 4 or 5 other quarterbacks all leaving at the same time to go play,
in the
water
XFL
polo together.
Yeah,
or something, right? But I gotta ask too, Ace, just because you're like so into the esports space, man. Like, let's say I'm another org, another team, and Sinatra comes to me and I'm setting up a Valorant team, and Sinatra's like, yo, I just bailed on my Overwatch team. I'm all about Valorant. And I know this dude's good, and I know he can do good things for my org, but do I want to take that risk? Do I want that liability of a guy that's just going to walk away from a contract?
Yeah, and that really is the question. But the thing about Valorant that is so attractive to these organizations is that it is so undeveloped right now. And that's why a lot of these pro players are switching over in the first place, is because there isn't a pro scene yet. And it's kind of just like this big pot of people who are all trying to come out the other end on top. So you're looking at these people who are switching over who are pro in similar esports like Overwatch or CSGO, which are very similar. And I guess the assumption is, well, they're really good in this sport and they already have a whole bunch of viewers on Twitch. They're really well known. So it could be a strong pickup. Now, my question is, how much are they paying these guys off the bat? Like Sinatra, for example, cannot be making more in Valorant right now as far as his salary goes than he was in Overwatch. But because Twitch, he's probably getting so many more viewers on Twitch, he's getting paid a lot more there. So
I think this also is, in a way, I think this is going to reflect kind of poorly on esports in general. If you have players who are just like, screw it, I'm just going to move to another team or whatever, like that's gonna like shake the foundation a little bit, because if you're an investor, and investment in esports is already a very tricky thing. If you're an investor and you're looking at esports as like an opportunity, and then you see something like this happen, like you're going to pull back so fast. You're going to be like, no way, man. If I'm pouring money into a team and someone's just going to walk like this, like I don't know what the terms are of Sinatra's contract, and we probably never will. But if dude can just pick up and go, and everyone's just like, oh yeah, that's cool, he just likes a different game now. For esports, I think that's a bad look, right? I think that's trouble brewing.
I think so too. I think that a lot of people are going to see this, and eventually, right, you almost have to expect that it's going to become a little bit saturated. If all of these people are switching over, there are only so many people that can come out of the other end on top. So at what point do people say, okay, I put everything aside, I've switched, and it's not happening? And people just they stop moving over, and will that happen? Will Valorant kind of peak and then go off the other end?
Yeah. Yeah, well, Riot's done a really good job with League and keeping League relevant, and changing up the meta enough that it doesn't completely tilt the player base, but keeps the viewers interested and makes it challenging enough for the pros that they have to adapt and do different things. So I think, if the game were to have, one of the best stewards in esports, I think Riot is probably that steward. So we'll kind of see, where it goes. But I mean, you look at these numbers, and you think, you look at who's behind it, and it's clear what's going to happen here. I think if I were someone like Sinatra and I just was like, man, I'm just burnt on this game, I don't know that I would just dip on my contract, but I would definitely, when the contract came due, I would definitely be looking somewhere else. I mean, honestly, he's one guy. If he's that good, he should be able to transition at any time. Like, I don't think, if there's a gold rush, if you're like the best gold miner in the world and no one's better than you, you can probably like wait. We'll see if that's the case with others, to your point. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this shakes out. I really don't know what to expect, but I think Valorant has a really good future ahead of it. That actually wraps up our stories for this week. But I wanted to talk really quick. Speaking of like new faces and new content, I did want to talk a little bit about what's been going on with the music directory on Twitch. And I imagine maybe other platforms as well. I consume a lot of music on Twitch. And I got to say, I've been really bullish on that category for years. This has been like music's renaissance, this whole like coronavirus thing, because all these so like I'll paint the picture a little bit here. Prior to this whole COVID thing, you had a lot of like you had professional musicians, but you also had like a lot of amateur musicians who were on Twitch, and they were kind of like, hey, let me stream. I know like 20 songs, I can stream those, and then I'll like try to learn new songs and stuff, and that's cool. There's definitely an audience for that, but there wasn't a great deal of professional music on Twitch. Well, now with this whole change, um, because of the coronavirus, now you've got professional musicians who are like flocking to the platform. Twitch is doing all these really cool deals with like SoundCloud and bands in town and like all these other music platforms to give streamers, they're basically like fast tracking musicians who are streaming to affiliate so they can start monetizing, doing ads and bits and subscriptions and all this other stuff, which I think is an awesome move on Twitch's part. Twitch hit a home run with this. But you go in the music directory now, and it is packed. It's like in the top 10 all the time. It used to be like a top 20, top 30 directory, and now it's literally in the top 10. It's at the top of Twitch all the time. And when you go in there, the level of talent is like 10x what it was before. And that's saying a lot, because there was a lot of great talented people in there prior to that. So I guess my question, I'll kick it over to you guys, is like, if I'm a musician and I figured out how to do this right, do I go back after this, or am I going to do this from now on?
Well, what's the discovery like? I mean, how are you when you go on there? Because I haven't watched a lot of music on Twitch. How are you finding who you want to watch? And are you scrolling through lots of different musicians once you find the type of music? I mean, how is it organized?
Well, I'm a little biased because I'm using StreamKick to do it. So lately I've been on a DJ kick. So I literally go in, flip over to creative, click music, click DJ, and then I just go through the different DJs that StreamKick's recommending. And I'm getting awesome stuff. Like I found like 3 or 4. In fact, Ace has been highlighting some of these for us on Twitter, because they've just been really fantastic artists. But in fairness, Twitch has a tagging system. You can go through and kind of pick tags. If you're looking for like a really specific kind of music or something like that, you can do that there as well. But it depends on like what your personal tastes are. There are a lot of different types of DJs. I've just been on a DJ kick lately, and so far, almost everyone that I've listened to, aside from like some sound quality issues, has been doing like a really bang up job. And it's just been great to have like not listening to, a lo-fi channel on YouTube, which is a lot of fun, but actually listening to like a live DJ that you can interact with. It's just a completely different way of consuming that content that typically.
So are you like chatting with the DJ while you're watching them?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. I found a DJ last night, and he was treating it like he was in a club. So like when you talk to him on chat, he didn't like type back to you. He would actually grab a mic, turn down the volume of the music just like a DJ in a club would do, shout you out on the mic and be like, yo, what kind of music do you like? What are you into? And you'd be like, oh, I like this, or I like that. And he's like, all right, man, I got you. I'm going to hook you up next song. And then he would play something. He wouldn't tell you what it was. He would play something and he would nail it every time. Every single time he would nail it. And his audience was just growing. And people stayed. He's like, guys, I'm going to do a 3-hour stream. Everyone was in there for 3 hours.
Were you like, hey man, I like complex grooves?
What?
Why would anyone say that?
You're like, hey man, I like high energy drops.
Yo, you got any Minecraft parodies?
Yo, you got any of that chiptune? No, he was doing like a mix of like 90s and like early mid 2000 stuff. And if he played a particular song and someone would be like, hey, this song was really cool, he'd be like, oh, you like that? Here, I got something for you. And then he would do like 2 or 3 more tracks in like that same genre or whatever. And he was doing an amazing job. He wasn't just playing the music. He was doing what we tell streamers to do. He was getting involved, just interacting with the audience, and he treated it. You could tell he was a club DJ. And he had found, and he was pretty much new, he had found a way to translate the club DJ experience to his house in like South Florida. And it was awesome. Like, it was such a cool experience.
Wait, so with this, do you think Twitch is going to make moves to make that more of a prevalent feature? Because when I think Twitch, like, I know there's creative and there's just gaming and just chatting, but I just think gaming every time. Like, that's really what Twitch is. Like, these other things almost feel like afterthoughts at times. Yeah. Do you think there'll be more of like a standalone focus on that? Because I think it's definitely a creative experience, and it's new. Like, Twitch streaming in general has been around for a little bit, but music streaming is new. And it just seems like such a cool and like lucrative idea to pursue as
Well, it's funny you
Twitch.
say that about gaming, because I mean, weren't the statistics, Ricky, that like 50% of Twitch streams were like just chatting or something like ridiculous, or like the second most?
Yeah, like just
Yeah.
chatting, like IRL, that type of stuff. Which is like how Twitch started, and or Justin TV, and almost went out of business because nobody wanted to watch that.
Wonder why it changed now.
That's a great question. I have no idea, but it's weird because that literally was Justin TV, and people were like, it was like, oh, I get to see what you do all day, and they're like, okay, well, it turns out most people's days really aren't that interesting. So they almost went out of business, and then literally one of the employees at Justin TV would live stream, and one day he went home and he was just playing, Xbox or whatever on his TV, and just streamed it with his buddies, and they started noticing that he was getting a lot of viewers, and it was starting to spike, and they were like, maybe this gaming thing is a good way to go, and that's literally how Justin TV became
So,
Twitch.
so if you're a
It
musician,
was an
do you think
accident.
you'd
Origin
have
story.
better luck gaining an audience doing on like streaming on Twitch or putting out YouTube videos as it relates to music?
YouTube's iffy though, because like you hear 5 seconds of a song that's copyrighted, your whole video is going to be taken down. Like they have all these algorithms that you put in. I think it's more than 10 seconds actually, but if you have more than a certain number of seconds of a song that's registered and trademarked by one of the like big record labels like Universal Music Group or whatever, YouTube will automatically flag it. UMG will get all of the money from your video, and sometimes the video will be removed entirely.
How does that work if you're a musician and you're doing like covers and stuff? Because you can do that at a gig and make money, and that's
Yeah.
legal.
Well, the algorithm, it's basically is if the algorithm picks it up or not. So sometimes if your cover is really good and it sounds just like the person who made the original song, probably guaranteed the algorithm will pick it up. You'll be instantly flagged and probably demonetized or blocked from uploading unless you bypass it and find a way to, like, if you know people, you could probably be fine. But if you're like just starting out, it's probably going to be super hard. And that's leads me to this. I wanted to ask this. How does Twitch get around the music copyright thing? Because like I said, if you live stream on YouTube, you can't throw normal music in your background. It has to be royalty free. So how come on Twitch streamers can like just do normal everyday music that's not royalty free and not get punished for it? I was always curious about that, and I didn't know if you knew anything.
I I don't know exactly why, and someone's going to be listening to this and say like, no, that's not right. But my understanding of it is, first off, Twitch has an algorithm as well, and what it'll do is it'll mute your VOD, right? So that's the first thing. It doesn't pull it down, but it will mute those parts of your VOD, and it doesn't have the capability of muting like one sound source or another. It's just your VOD is one sound. It's just everything, right? So it mutes you, it mutes the background, everything. So you're literally sitting there, your mouth's moving, but nothing's coming out. That's one part. I think the way they get around it is that the music is not the basis or the focal point of the content, unless you're a musician, right? But from like a gaming stream where people play background music, um, they're like, whatever. No one watches my VODs anyway, so I don't care, right? Like you can mute it all you want. No one ever, and there's data support that no one ever watches VODs. So I think that's how they get around it, in the sense that they're not getting around it. It's just that since it's not the focal point, since they're not monetizing because of the music doesn't warrant pulling them off the platform, or taking their channel down or something like that.
Okay. But then when it comes to like DJs, which most of the time are playing pretty much like there'll be mix ups here and there, like little things they do to remix it, but a lot of the times they are playing just like the normal song. I'm
Yeah.
surprised they can get away with that.
I think if it's in the context of music, so Twitch has actually hired a bunch of people specifically from Spotify in the last like 6 months. They've hired like 4 or 5 people from Spotify, like key roles at Twitch, specifically heading up music, the music category. I think as it relates to music, and I'm not a lawyer here, but this makes sense. Um, there's certain privileges, like I said before, if I had a band and I wanted to go to the local bar and do covers, that band it can't sue me, they can't do any of those other things, because there's a protection built in there. If it's clearly not yours, but you're doing it in honor of, or whatever of that song, they're allowed to do that. I think it's if they were just to be like, blatantly trying to monetize that music and or say that it's their own, I think that's where you start running into problems.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, just kind of going back to the whole music thing, I put myself in the shoes of a musician, and I'm like, I can do this from home. I can do this from anywhere, essentially. I can get donations. I can get subscriptions. I can interact. Like, you can't go in a club up to the artist, or even in a bar if they're performing. You kind of have to go talk to them like between sets and stuff. And a lot of times they don't want to talk to you. They want to go grab a drink or get something to eat or like whatever, because they're going to be performing again. This is such a cool medium for that, because now you can interact with the content creator, a musician in this case, in a way like you never could before. And you can do it from anywhere you want in the comfort of your home. And like for me, I do it while I'm working. I'm doing, stuff for StreamKick, and I've got, a DJ in the background, and every now and again I'll hear a good song and I'll be like, hey, what's the name of the song? And they'll say, oh, it's this. And I'll be like, cool. And go on YouTube and, add it to a watch list or whatever, so I can go check it out later and hear it myself. And it's like, you're getting content, you're discovering new music. Like, it's just such a more immersive experience than anywhere else that you would listen to music. And to your earlier question about, where else would they go and do something like this? I don't think anywhere. I think Twitch has the opportunity right now to own this. And I think it's their opportunity to blow. Basically, they can either kill this or they can just totally tank it. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But I think music, I think there's a lot more to come from music. I think Twitch is investing heavily in it. They're hiring people, they're putting money in it. So I think there's more to come. We haven't really seen exactly what's going to be there. But when this coronavirus thing passes, I know a lot of musicians are going to want to get back on the road. They're going to want to do concerts and gigs and things like that. But I know a lot of them are going to end up staying. And I think that if you're listening to this and you're a musician and you're either contemplating Twitch or you're in there and you're just getting started, this is an opportunity. This is like one of those chances to get in early. It's almost like past that chance, but still an opportunity to get in early and carve out your niche on a platform where that medium that you're the professional at can blow up and just become huge. So that does it for the roundup and episode number 2 of the StreamKick podcast. So I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Interesting stuff. We talked about how Twitch is going to handle its growth challenges it's having as we look at how much the industry is growing because of the coronavirus pandemic. We talked a lot about Valorant. We talked a lot about esports and what that's going to mean for that industry, that sort of sub industry as a whole. We talked about Twitch launching gift cards, and we want to see where that goes. If people are actually going to buy these, what they're going to use them for. Maybe streamers are going to use them for giveaways, which would be kind of cool. And we talked about what feels like, and what probably will be the last time, the longest continuous broadcast record was broken for the 3rd time in a month. And
I mean, it's going to be back in like another week. You know that, right? The same guy,
it is,
139 hours.
At RhinoPaw's request, we will officially retire that jersey. We will hang it up in the outfield. It will never be spoken of again, and that'll be the end of that. So as we're gonna pack up and go, any parting shots from anybody? Anything you want to share? Any cool content you're looking forward to this week? Anything you're watching? Any music you're listening to?
I will share my Netflix recommendation of the week. New segment. I've decided to start it on my own, but 100%. If you like futuristic sci-fi cyberpunk vibes, definitely watch Altered Carbon. It'll blow your mind. It is insane.
It's like a real show or anime, or what is that?
No, it's like a real show. It's based on a series of books. And I don't know if you follow the game Cyberpunk 2077, but it is exactly what I pictured that game to be. It is such a good show. You don't even understand.
Sounds like
I don't even understand. I've never seen it.
I mean, because I haven't explained it, so that's probably why you don't understand. But it kind of is, to be honest. Like, it's a futuristic society. I'm not going to go full into depth here because this will take a while. But futuristic society, when you die, all your consciousness gets uploaded onto this chip that can be transferred between bodies. Bodies are called sleeves, and they're disposable. That's the gist. But there's way more to it. So I would definitely recommend checking it out.
Super edgy.
That's super edgy. I had nightmares.
We'll have a look. We'll give it a watch. Cool. Well, thanks again, everyone. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to toss us a rating and review on your podcasting app of choice. It most definitely makes a difference. If you would like to check out the roundup for yourself, you can hit us up on the StreamKick blog. It's very simple. It's blog.streamkick.com. You can find us on Twitter at StreamKick, also on Instagram at StreamKick, and you can find us on YouTube. And I believe, Ace, we're going to have this episode on YouTube. Is that right?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you for the clear, concise answer on that. And speaking of YouTube, Robo, if the StreamKick Podcast listeners want to find you, where can they find you?
You can find me on YouTube at RoboKast, RoBOKAST. Top quality gaming content. If you're into nostalgia, if you're into old games, definitely the place to go.
And on Twitter?
Oh, right. I also have a Twitter. I don't use it enough, but at RoboKast on Twitter, RoBOKAST once again.
And Ace, anyone that wants to figure out and learn all about esports, where can they catch you, man?
Follow me on Twitter, Ace Aspires.
And that does it. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week, and we will see y'all next week.